creating new cuisine.
Well, the fact that food is something dynamic like everything else, it doesn't stand still. It's affected by agricultural practices, by climate,
It's a wonderful way to talk about all those issues, and that's the other way in, is to take something that everyone can kind of talk about easily, food, and then move into climate change. And
in a recent book, and I'd love to open this up to the remaining few of you who have sat here all day, is that the words food and the word conflict, as we say, Roger Marx said it best, there's data about both. We know a lot about conflict now over the last years, and we know a lot about food, but we don't put them together. And because it's interdisciplinary, it requires knowledge of anthropology, sociology, demography, agronomy, economics, that it's very hard to put this into any kind of pigeonhole. And actually, AU is very good in that sense, in that this school is an interdisciplinary school of international affairs. So we are able to put many of those pieces together. But for people who are in the academic world, who are very stovepiped into their departments, having a conversation like the one we're having today is hard, and in some ways makes it even more difficult if we're looking at educating another generation of people as to what food will mean. And so I guess the last thing I'd like to ask, do you think food will become a national security issue? Or is that too loaded a question?
Well, I think food is a national security issue. And I think we just don't talk about it that way, like you said. And I think that's the conversation that you're beginning here. And it seems incredible. It was that meal we had, which was beautiful on my plate and tasted wonderful, all those things together. And every single thing had a story. And if we had just walked down that aisle of dishes and talked about every one, we could have gone off in every direction. Conflict, peace, how we might, take care of some of the bigger questions and problems. So I think you've really done such a beautiful job here, and I thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I would love to say we have about 3 or 4 minutes. If anybody has a comment, it doesn't have to be a question. We'd love to open the floor to you. I know we've had a long day with lots of people working very hard. So do you want to play that clip, though, that you had? Because we have one wonderful clip that I think is worth listening, the
Sure.
Russian one.
This is just a little excerpt from a Hidden Kitchen story that we recently produced, Hidden Kitchens Russia, and it is about the impact of the kitchens in Soviet culture. And the first episode, which we're not going to hear, was about the communal kitchens under Stalin. And then this is the beginning of the second piece, which is under Khrushchev's regime. And the name of this piece is Dissident Kitchens.
Communal kitchen was a war zone. During the Stalin time, it was the most dangerous place to be, in the kitchen.
After Khrushchev came to power, people started moving out from their communal flats into these separate flats. Khrushchev introduced this completely new era. It was called a thaw, and for a reason.
Like in the winter when you have a lot of snow, but some spots are green, new grasses coming. It was a little bit more liberal than before.
When my father came to the power, he proclaimed that will be mass construction of the apartment buildings, where in each apartment will live only one family. The small kitchen, small bathroom. I'm Sergei Khrushchev, retired professor from Brown University. My father was Nikita Khrushchev, the head of the Soviet Union from 1953 to 1964.
Khrushchev apartments, they're called Khrushchevki. 5-story buildings, concrete panels, horribly built, very small kitchens.
No matter how tiny it was yours. My name is Masha Karp from Leningrad. I worked for the Russian service of the BBC. This kitchen was the place where they finally could get together with their friends and talk at home without fearing the neighbors in the communal flat.
One of the reasons why kitchen culture developed in Russia is because there were no places to meet. I'm Edward Chandrovich, venture investor. I'm also a Russian poet. You couldn't have political discussions in public. At your workplace, You couldn't go to cafes. They all stayed controlled. A kitchen became a place where Russian culture kept living, untouched by the regime. It was the beginning of dissident kitchens.
Kitchen was for intimate circle of your close friends, and kitchen was relatively safe. I'm Alexander Jenis, Russian writer and radio journalist. First of all, when you came to kitchen, you put on the table some vodka and you put something from your balcony, like pickled mushrooms, something pickled. Sour is the taste of Russia. And you just start talking.
Kitchens became debating societies. People would crowd over that kitchen table, huddle there. Sometimes there would be KGB agents stationed in the stairwells. During those times, we expected to be arrested any night.
Облака плывут, облака не спеша плывут, как кино.
We ate plenty of bread, canned food like sprats, a lot of vodka. Tongues got looser. My name is Grisha Freydin, professor of Russian literature at Stanford University. Even to this day, political windbaggery is referred to as kitchen table talk.
Communal kitchen was a war zone. During the Stalin time, it was the most dangerous place to
That's
be.
an excerpt of that piece, but I like the I thought political windbaggery, kitchen table talk was appropriate.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I thought that might be an interesting note for us to close this conversation. But if any of you have comments before we go, we're open to comments. But if not, anybody? Well, I think we've had enough table talk.
We have had a
or
lot of kitchen table
at this
talk.
point. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Nikki, for joining us, and
thank
for
you.
everybody, all your help. And I hope we can do this again sometime in the future.
Thank you.